We're not here to make up the numbers, we're here to compete as well. This squad, with the power they have on their day, they can do anything they want.
Hello and welcome to the Glassgirls Network with me, Jonathan. Today I'm joined by two guests, Harry O'Neill and Ken. How are you both doing, guys? You okay?
All right, mate. Yeah, not too
Living
bad.
a dream, mate.
Good to go.
Living the dream. It's a great day for us. We've had a double win. So we've won our first team. We've won Foyles. Reserve team have won Stoke. Two great wins. Harry, start off for yourself. How's today been for you?
It's been really good, actually. I think, to be honest with you, Ken will lead on to it in a minute. I think with what we've done over the last couple of months in terms of the work we've put in and trying to almost restructure how the team's going to be, how it's going to look, the way we play. I think today was probably almost the result where we've turned around and gone, you know what, like this is the project, like this is finally a result of the hard work that we've put in for a month, 2 months, 3 months. So it was really satisfying, really good over a course of 90 minutes to perform the way we did. And I think to get 3 points in the way that we did against such an established, reserve side, National League side, let alone just the reserve side. I think, really, really good result today, to be honest.
No, that's great, yeah. And to say that you're fifth in the league in the reserve team, and we'll talk a little bit about the league later and what the kind of importance of that league is to you and the development team as well is fantastic. Where was Stoke in the league? Are they like underneath you?
They are, I believe, just behind us in terms of the league position. They've got 2 games in hand, so there's a possibility of league, jumping over. But we took that as an opportunity today to go, you know what, like we've got to come try and get a result today because they could very easily go up and being Stoke the way they are and such an established team, so to speak, that we're going to come up against the 3rd, 4th, 5th in the league. So if we want to maintain our goal of finishing as high as we possibly can with the reserves, then they're the teams you need to beat. And I think, to be honest, getting points against a team at home like that, it speaks volumes. And regardless whether they've got games in hands or not, you can only play what's in front of you. And I think getting a result against Stoke is a really good statement of how we're getting on.
Fantastic. And it wasn't just a result, Ken. Obviously, as a manager of the reserve team, you just won a team around you for 4-0, Stoke. A fantastic big name club. How does that make you feel as a manager to say that you just won Stoke 4-0?
To be honest with you, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think since I've came in, I've seen the growth, the progression of the team, of the club. When I first came in, I was told by Mike, the first team manager, as you know, that it's not about results, it's just about progressing players, about growing the players, heading them towards first team. I think watching them play today, it's not all about just growth. It's about, obviously, we want to get wins. No one wants to lose a game. We want to go out there. We want to show what we're about as a pathway, as a team, as a squad of players in reserves, heading towards that first team football. I think since Harry's come on board, it's been absolutely fantastic. I think we've grown. I'm just absolutely ecstatic, mate, to be honest with you. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Loving my time here, loving the team, loving the girls, loving the group, loving the whole coaching setup. Everything's just growing and growing. It's just fantastic.
Ken, you joined us this summer, so obviously you're new to the club this season. What kind of got you involved in Stourbridge? How did that kind of come about in the first place?
Well, what it was really, I mean, in all fairness, I've always sort of leaned towards Stourbridge. I've always liked Stourbridge. I've always wanted to be a part of Stourbridge. It actually came about when Mike was actually coaching my daughter at Blues. So that's how I sort of got to know Mike. I've always known previous managers of Stourbridge, shall I say. And if I'm honest, it's always something I wanted part of. And then Mike sort of rang me up towards the end of last season and said we're having a bit of a change on coaching staff and stuff like that. Would you like to be involved? Would you like to come in? And basically I just grabbed it with both hands, really, if I'm totally honest with you, because it's something I've always wanted to be a part of. And since I've came in, I can't knock it. It's absolutely brilliant. It's all about developing players, it's all about helping players, but obviously it's all about the first team as well. How far can we get with the first team? They're playing Tier 3 football and they're holding their own, which is absolutely fantastic. I think with the reserves team, we're probably going to finish the higher that reserve teams have ever finished in that league.
Really.
Development side of things as well. So obviously we've got 3 teams within the pathway. Obviously you've got your first team, you've got your reserve teams, you've got your development team, but we don't look at it like that, me and Harry. We look at it as though it's pathway, it's one team, it's one group. What can we do? How far can we take them? The developments, obviously, I think we're going to push to try and win that league this season.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works out. Hopefully that happens. If they do, they'll be playing a higher tier next season. And I just love the absolute growth of the team. I love everything about it, really, and the way we look after players. The coaching staff, as I say, can't speak highly enough. It's just brilliant, mate. I love it.
You spoke about the growth there. There's at least 4 or 5 pathway players who have actually played in the first team this season, and the game that comes to mind is Filed Away. So we've just played Filed at home. This is Sunday, and we just played Filed at home, and the first team have just won Filed 2-1. But the reverse fixture, Filed Away, we actually had quite a few reserve team players go to play away and travel that journey and play with the first team. I'm talking about Grace, Charlie Atkinson, and there's plenty more, Steny Robinson as well. How does that make you feel to see that the players that you coach 2 times a week and the players that you talk to and inspire, and they're actually playing in National League Tier 3 every now and again? How does that make you feel, and what do you think of those players who you've progressed?
If I'm totally honest, it makes me feel proud. As a coach. I mean, obviously I came in and I think you just mentioned Steny Robinson there, so you know, I've seen Steny Robinson play before. I watched her before I came on board. I literally only had her for 1 game, and then she went away with first team after that first game. I haven't seen her since, so it shows me that she's progressing, she's working hard, she's hitting the target she needs to be hitting. Obviously, I'm not getting her back, which is
that's a good thing, yeah.
You know what? Which is a good thing for her. But then I look across the pathway and I look at like the reserves and I look at players. So you just mentioned a couple of players there, like so Ella Williams for one.
Yeah.
You know, she's progressing. She's a 16-year-old girl. She
scored today.
Yeah, she scored today. Scored a great goal. She's hitting the heights that we wanted to be hitting. Zara Gibbs, obviously, another one. Made a bit of a debut for first team. Week in, week out, she's a 100% player. She gives you everything that you want. Charlie Atkinson, again, made a debut with first team. That's what I love about this club. I love that there is a pathway there, and it's not just something that we sort of sell the dream to a player and we say, look, you know, come to us, you're going to be playing first team. There is actually potential for you to go and play for that first team, and if you work hard, you train hard, and you show what you can do, that pathway is there for you, and then you will be a first team player. As I say, Steny Robinson, typical example of that. She's shown what she's capable of, she's shown what she can do. I haven't seen her since. Hard for me as a coach because I'd love Steny with us.
Yeah.
However, we're a reserve team, their first team, that's what it's all about. It's all about the growth. So yeah, I'm proud and very happy.
You mentioned Steny Robinson there. Obviously, you'll know Steny Robinson from last season, where you was one of the coaches at the under-18s, and obviously now you're the head of Pathway. Just talk to us a little bit about your new role then, Harry, this season. So last time we spoke to you was about 7 or 8 months ago. You was a first-team coach and also under-18s. Now you've kind of used all those skill sets to look after a new role. Talk to us a little about this season regarding you and your new role.
Yeah, I mean, it's come up very, very fast, to be honest with you, in regards of how things have gone. But yeah, you know, under I suppose Andy Fisher's later era, so to speak, you know, we started Tier 3 in the same kind of retrospect of the squad that we had, the team that we had. You know, that includes the staff. And it got to the point where obviously, you know, Andy ended up leaving the club, and that kind of almost, I guess, set a kind of domino effect of the plans that the club were looking to do. You know, I sat down in this very room really and spoke with Mike and Andy Bullingham, the vice chairman, and they laid out the plans of essentially, you know, this is what's going to happen over the next 2-3 months. And you know, there wasn't a head of Pathway last season. There wasn't that role didn't exist, so to speak. And they turned around to me and said, look, you know, that we're looking to kind of reinforce what we're after in terms of, essentially securing the club's future in regards to how the club's going to look in Tier 3. Yes, survival in terms of a first team's perspective is ultimately the main goal. However, you can only survive for so long with the players you have. And I think, yes, there's bringing players in, but you've also got to bring players through with the team you've got. And we needed to reinforce the infrastructure of that. Ken had come in very recently at that point to handle the reserve team. As he's mentioned, we've got a development team as well that's just started this season. So it was an opportunity for me to kind of progress as a leader. As you mentioned, we spoke previously before as, I was a first team coach at number 3, so to speak. But it was my opportunity to lead, not ultimately lead one team, but lead two lots of staff, work alongside Ken, alongside Mark, the development team coach, but also have essentially, overruling role of everything in general, that, the success of the pathway, quote unquote, like relates to myself, relates on what goes on. And I think that is a massive responsibility, and it's something that I was going to relish. And I think, in terms of my own coaching development, it was something from a personal perspective, to be honest with you, and be completely honest, like that I was expecting at some point. I was expecting to kind of go, I'll get to the end of the season with the first team, maybe see how things go. But football goes at 100 mile an hour, you know what I mean? You're aware of that, you're aware of that.
Yeah.
And, I was presented the opportunity at a time really that wasn't expected, but I took it with two hands, to grasp it with two hands, and kind of gone, this is something that I really want to be a part of. I jumped into the setup with players who I was familiar with. I've been at the club for 4 years, and people that I know, people I get on with. The under-18s being a prime example of that, with some of those who have stayed, have progressed into either the development of the reserve team. It took me a couple of weeks to find my feet, but it's a project at the end of the day. It's just like the first team, John. It's an aspect that, yes, as he's mentioned, Ken's mentioned, we want to go out and win games. We've got 2 aims. We've got, let's go win games. Let's go promote players into the first team, which we've done 5 of already. And it's also a brand new development team who's starting at the bottom of the ladies' pyramid. Let's go and do it again. What I mean? Let's go and recreate the journey that I've been a part of, that he will experience. And it's a mixture of everything. And I had a very good opportunity over the course of 4 years to learn under the likes of Andy Fisher and Mike Harris, and it's an opportunity for myself to almost be the melting pot of those 2 styles. Mike's got a very different style to Andy, vice versa, but that's what made them work very well together, and why we had success for Tier 6 to 3. I was a part of that journey, and I got to see all of that firsthand, week in, week out. And for me, it's my opportunity to kind of go, this is my time. This is my chance to kind of go, what have I got? What I can use, the team around me. Let's build a staff. Let's build players, and let's create a project that we can be proud of. And, as Ken's mentioned already, proud, I think, is the key word here in terms of being, are we happy with the results? Yeah, we're proud of the results. We're proud also of players that have gone into the team. You like the centres that I've worked with last year that, almost become the poster girl of the first team now, so to speak. You know what I mean? You see her all over the photos, the photography, and the likes against Albion, great result, and you see her celebrating, and I think that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? So it's been a different learning curve for me. I'm used to growing up being into football, ladies football, of winning games, winning Tier 6, winning Tier 5, winning Tier 4. It's different now. It's yes, let's go win games, but also the end goal is we've got young footballers here who really want to play first team football.
Well, there's so much there that I can just get my teeth into, and I can tell the passion in what you're saying, and I'm sure you could talk for hours because obviously you're so passionate about what you do, which is great. I suppose I just want to define a little bit about what success means to you. So if you look at league positions, which a lot of fans look at, you got your reserve team that are currently 5th. I think your development team, which is 3rd, but with plenty of games in hand. If they win all the games in hand, they'll win the league and they'll get promoted. I guess, Harry, what I'm going to probably ask you is, what does success mean to you? So, is it the case of just getting another player ready, like a Senna Robinson, who's done really well last season, who's got into this season as a first team player? Is that your kind of goal for a reserve team player? And then is your successful development team get them promoted to what will be Tier 6? What's kind of in your head? What would you consider to be a very good season for you personally in your role?
I think you're right. I think that there's different goals. And I think from a club perspective, but also a team perspective, they can be very different things. Obviously, quite rightly sat down with, as I said earlier, it was the higher officials of the club, and they've made it very clear to me in terms of what the goals of what the reserve team should be. Let's get players into the first team, and with the development team, go and get promoted, go win the league. You know what I mean? And that's ultimately the out and out non-negotiables, I suppose, with that. But that's ultimately what it's all about. Personally, and having discussions with the staff, Ken and the rest of the team, you know, especially with the reserves, I suppose more than anything, you know, the development team, yes, go win the league. It's non-negotiable. That's just something we're looking to do. With the reserves, we want to finish as high as we can. You know, I think the reserves is still a fairly new project. It's you know 1.5, nearly 2 years into it, and I think finishing, I think it was 7th or 8th last season. Let's get to a point where we can finish. You know, like as you mentioned, we're 5th now, but
compared to last season as well. It's season
correct,
season.
yeah, but it's certainly still halfway through the season, and I think you play a team like Stoke today where you win, where they've still got a couple of games in hand. There's other teams like Wolves who've got games in hands, but you know, you can only play what's in front of you. You can only win what's in front of you. You can only get 3 points in what's in front of you. And I think ultimately what we want to do is finish as high as we possibly can with the reserve team to go, yeah, who cares, we're two years into the project, but, you know, we're going to put a staple on the map. And ultimately that's what, but that's what the first team have done. The first team have gone and done that, you know, as a part of that, I've seen it. And I think from a personal perspective, but also what's something that the staff buy into and the players buy into, you know, we're open. We talk about our goals to the players. We talk about what we want to achieve from a club perspective. What do the club want? But also, what do we want? What do you guys want as players? You know, when we talk to younger lot, what do you want to get out of it? You know, some will say first team football. Some will say, oh, I want to win the league. Some will say, I want to do this, do that.
Okay.
Great. We, you know, be democratic, I suppose, in an approach where we can get everybody together and go, look, this is what we're going to achieve together as a group. If we can finish as high as we possibly can with the reserves, beat top 5, top 4, fantastic. That's something to build on next season. The development team, let's get into tier 6, and then next season with, you know, the likes of Ryan Magson's lot coming in over the course of next season with the under 16s.
Yeah.
What can we do then? Could we get to tier 5? You know, that opens up more opportunities. So I guess, I suppose, to answer your question without waffling, is, you know, over the short term, let's finish as high as we can with the reserves. And let's win the league with the development team and see where that puts us.
Ken, how do you think it works with the fact that the relationship between yourselves? And so it's a great role that you've got. Obviously, you're looking after the players across the reserve team and the development team. Talk to me about like your week and how you guys talk to each other throughout the week. So obviously you got your training session on Tuesday, training session on Thursday. The first team got an extra training session on Wednesday. You got your game on a Sunday. How do you guys kind of interact throughout the week? Kind of give us a bit of an insight on that.
Well, I think I'll start on this. So, I mean, obviously when I first came in, I was sort of just on my own a little bit. So, obviously we didn't have, at the time, we didn't have a development manager. We didn't have any coaching staff for me, as I should say. So I sort of left on my own a little bit. So all through pre-season, it was just kind of like, can you deal with that?
Yeah.
So I was taking a mix of all the development, all the reserves, should I say, pathway.
Yeah.
And we were just playing our pre-season friendlies, which was great because I had such a big squad to choose from. It gave me a chance to look at players, learn from players. Who do we think needs to go where? And then we got to the start of the season, we went to play Lincoln away.
Okay.
We ended up losing 9-4. It was a dark day for us as a team. And if I'm totally honest, it was quite hard. You know, I sort of had to go over there on my own, had to deal with it all by myself. We came back from there, we went to play Wolves in the Cup. We had a decent result against Wolves. Okay, granted we lost 4-0. However, we played some really good football. And then Mark came on board to become the development manager, so you could see things growing from there. And then I sort of had a phone call from Mark saying that obviously Harry was going to come in as head of pathway. We're going to get Dan in as lead coach. We're going to get Plim in as player liaison, as a coach as well. And all I can say is it's been absolutely fantastic. It's been brilliant. The support and the help and everything that like sort of comes with that has been brilliant throughout the pathway. In terms of me and Harry, how do we communicate? I would think that
that's right.
Yeah.
Our partners, should I say, would probably think we're having an affair because we're constantly like texting each other, messaging each other, talking about squad days. We come down here, we had like Squad Friday, we were at the club. Sat there, granted we're having a bit of a drink, but also we're talking about the squad, the players. I don't think I've ever messaged anyone as much in my life.
You said this a little while ago, yeah.
As I do with Harry. And obviously, it's all for the positive. It's all for the good of the club. It's all for the good of the players. One thing that I can say about Harry since he's come in is his love for the club. His love for the players. He's very supportive. He's always got the players' best intention at heart, stuff like that. So it's really good to work alongside someone like that. It's not all about results.
No.
As I say, we like results. We want to win the games. However, it is about looking after that player. How can we grow this player? What can we do to help this player? It's constant is probably the word.
Yeah.
It's like having a full-time job on top of the job that you have.
Yeah.
But we love him. It's what we do, and it's just fantastic.
You said you love it there, and Mike Harris said on the last press conference we had in this room actually, he said if you don't love it, you will end up leaving. And I can understand his point of view there. He was kind of referring to the amount of time and effort that you have to put into the club, but I kind of get it because it's true that the level that this club is at now, and the level that we're striving towards, you need to kind of put in a lot of effort, don't you? Like you say, you got a full-time job. You need to put in a lot of effort. I know a lot of fans and a lot of maybe players and parents might query this, Harry. So I'll ask you the question: is it kind of your decision to decide on who's on the reserve team, who's on the development team? How does that kind of work out? Is that kind of your decision? Is this a conversation that you have with the managers? How does that kind of work out? Because you've got a good group of players. How do you decide on who's playing where on what week?
You're absolutely right. I think it's a joint thing. I think in terms of what I have as a role, in terms like who gets the overall say. I suppose if I wanted to, there is the position where I could be like, no, you're playing here, but that's not how I like to run things. And I think I'll put democratically again into it. I think that the best way to solve things is to grab your team together and go, right, what's the best solution? It's pointless me having the overall final say of things because you put a lot of responsibility onto one person, and I feel like when you've got a team in front of you, such as Mark, such as Ken, where you've got managers, you've got coaches, you've got staff, I think you need the input from everybody, and I think a lot of the time, as Ken mentioned, we call it Squad Friday. It's genuine to the point where we don't have a life on a Friday night. We're organising 2 lots of teams, 2 lots of games, 2 lots of venues, 2 lots of squads.
Yeah.
Who's going to play in what squad? Who's going to play?
How does that conversation go about? And they just go back and forth, say, I think this player should play in the reserve team, and then you bounce back and say, I agree with 8 of those players, but then the other so you don't.
We're quite lucky because me and Ken are very much in sync, and we were saying this to Mike earlier, and in an aspect of if I think a player should be here, 9 times out of 10 Ken would probably agree with me. Mm-hmm. Ken goes, I think we should be playing this team today, then I usually agree with him.
And what do you base that on? Like what kind of?
I think if I can just
please.
I think that all sort of goes through training. Obviously, we're at training together all the time. We watch these players, watch how they play. We play 11v11 against the first team. Yeah, which Harry rightly said on Thursday, that is probably the hardest team the reserves are going to play this season. Yeah. So obviously that gives us a look at things. We look at where they're going to play. When we're picking our squads, when we're picking our teams, obviously it is a pathway. It's not classed as reserves, devs. Mm-hmm. It's all about one pathway.
I love that. Yeah.
What could we do? Can we get our development up into tier 6? Mm-hmm. So obviously when we base our decisions on who we're playing and what we're doing, we liaise with each other. We've got our own pathway coaching group. So obviously we touch on stuff with Dan, on stuff with Plim, on stuff with Jode, on stuff with Mark, and then we work out what we think the 2 best squads, shall I say, to play whoever we're playing that weekend. So let's just say, for instance, we're playing Wolves, the devs are playing Lightown. Yeah. We will work out what we think the best squad is to go and try and win those games. But when it comes to sort of picking players and who plays, if I'm totally honest, the team pick themselves. Okay. We base it on like the training. How hard can they work? What have they shown this week? Are they putting the effort in? Are they turned up to training? Are they turned up to games? Which 90% of them are spot on. Can't knock it.
Yeah.
In terms of positions, I think you sort of get to know a player. You know what that player's capable of, where that player can play. Usually, it's either Harry sends me a starting 11, or I'll send him a starting 11, and we'll sort of tweak it from there. That's what's good about having Harry alongside me. That's what's good about having all the other coaches alongside us. The only thing really is when it sort of throws a bit of a spanner in the works, but we totally get it, we totally understand it, is when a first team player may be moved, maybe coming down into reserves. Obviously we have to tweak it again then, and we have to move things around, because obviously that first team player will take priority because they need the minutes, they need that game time. And then obviously we have to tweak that, and we have to like manage that the best we can to make sure that the players are getting the minutes they deserve, getting the game of football on that Sunday, because they've worked bloody hard all week. But as Harry said, really, we're pretty much in sync, we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to picking positions and who plays where and who does what. He actually said today, in today's game, I'll say something, Harry will say something, but it's pretty much, we're very close to what we're trying to say together, in terms of tactics, in terms of what we want a player to do. This weekend we played the 4-3-3. We spoke about it Thursday. Harry came up to me halfway through training. He said, what I want these two midfielders doing this midfielder doing that. And before he sort of told me, I was sort of answering, so we were just like sort of nodding at each other. So yeah, we're pretty much in sync with all that, and I think that's how it all works, really.
I'm conscious of time there. Look, we've got 26 minutes, so we've got about a couple of minutes left, Harry. So I'll leave it with you for the last question. I guess my thoughts are the under 16. So I follow Ryan Magson's team quite a lot, and in my head, I'm thinking a good proportion of those will hopefully be able to have a chance next season in the pathway in the development team. We have only got a couple of minutes left, so Harry, let's leave it with yourself now, and maybe we can pick up this again towards the end of the season, because I'd love to get you back on and speak to you in even more detail, but we've only got half an hour, so the time's running out. Ryan Max's teams, what's your thoughts on the under 16s team? How they're going to come through in the next year?
Yeah,
I mean, a couple of minutes.
We're about rambling. I mean, listen. You know, we had a conversation just. You know, we always like to brief on a Sunday about terms of results, and you know, we feed back to Mike. I think Ryan Maxon's team they're a Stourbridge team. As simple as that. And you know, you understand that. You know, when you come to watch Stourbridge first team games or pathway games, you understand what the club's all about, the ethos, the mentality, and you know what it means to be part of a Stourbridge team. And I think Maxon's team have got that at such a young age. You know, a lot of them, once they qualify for adult football, so to speak, so reaching the age of 16, they're going to get to the point where, you know, we can push them into the setup, push them into the development team. And it looks to be a tough challenge. If we win the league this year, that team will go into Tier 6. You know, we want to push them again. If we can get in a couple of years, next year or the year after, into Tier 5, then great. You know, that will come with recruitment, but that will also come with Maxon's team developing and growing. And I think Maxon and his team are a good staff, they're a good lineup, and that's something that we're looking to incorporate, I suppose, into next season. But I have full confidence in them. I've got full confidence in the girls. I've got full confidence in the setup that they have being progressed into adult football. I think that's exactly what we need as a staff, we need as a coaching setup, but also what the Stourbridge Football Club needs. It needs that youth, it needs the energy, but it also needs people who get the club. And ultimately, that's why I'm here.
Get the club,
and they get it. Yeah, you're absolutely right, mate. Right.
Thank you very much. Look, I can see the time's ticking now. Unfortunately, my memory is going to run out any second on the phone. But thank you very much for joining us. We need to do this again towards the end of the season. I can't believe 29 minutes has gone, and I feel like I haven't even scraped the surface. There's so much to go into. But thank you for joining us, and congratulations on your win today. Congratulations on what seems to be a fantastic season for you both this season, and for both teams on the reserve team and the development team. And please come and join me again towards the end of the season, because I absolutely love talking football and talking about the pathway team. So thank you very much, and Happy New Year, by the way. I hope you have a fantastic new one. And I'm going to have to say goodbye right now before the phone shuts down. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.